In this episode, we're talking about your cousin impersonating a home inspector and a bubbly glass of champagne.
You ask real estate questions, and I answer them. This is the Ask Daniel Los Angeles show.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 10 of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles show. I can't believe it, we made it to episode number 10. Quite the milestone. To be honest, I didn't know if I was going to keep on going, but I did. So let's keep it going.
Rich asks, the public tax records for my home are not accurate. It shows that the square footage of the house is smaller than it actually is. What should I do?
Hey Rich, thanks for the question. You know, I was in a very similar situation that you were in. Many years ago, I lived in a condo and the unit next door to me was the exact same as my unit, but the public tax record showed it as 200 square feet bigger. And you know, that's weird, right? So I called an appraiser up. They came out to my unit, not to appraise my unit, but to measure the unit. So that's what they did. They measured it. Lo and behold, it was the same square footage as the unit next door. I called the city to complain, basically, and they sent out an assessor. The assessor came out, looked at the report. They didn't even measure the unit. They said, okay, this looks good enough. And they went back to their office. 2 weeks later, it was changed. So the public tax records was updated, and that's important because you want to show as much square footage as possible. So I suggest you do the exact same game plan. Start off with getting that appraiser out there to measure your unit. From there, you call the assessor. I have the assessor's phone number if you need it, and you just go from there. That's a good game plan. You'll win that way, trust me.
Kim asks, you keep mentioning that a buyer can back out of escrow if the home inspection doesn't go well. Is there a way to make sure the home will pass an inspection?
Hey Kim, so there isn't exactly a way to make sure that you will pass an inspection, but we can prepare for it as much as possible. Let me explain. So the inspector that's coming out is hired by the buyer. Now, we don't know who this inspector is. What if it's the buyer's cousin, you know, and the buyer tells his cousin, I really want you to make this inspection look really bad because we want to ask the seller for a bunch of repairs, right? We just don't know who that inspector is. But what we can do is we can hire an inspector before we even put the home on the market. That way we know what's wrong with the property. So if the water heater is bad and needs to be replaced, maybe you want to do that before you put your home on the market. If the AC is bad and you need to replace that, that's a big fix. That's $10,000. Let's say, oh, I don't want to do that. So now we can price the home accordingly based off of the information that we have from the inspection report. That way, when they do come at us with some repairs, you can say, hey, you know, we had priced this home accordingly. We already knew what was wrong with the property, and we felt that this was a fair price, knowing that this home had all of these repairs that needed to be done. So that's the best way to handle this situation, because you never know when the buyer is going to bring their cousin as their inspector.
Candace asks, can you explain how a notice to perform works?
Hey Candace, so notice to perform, hopefully you don't get to this situation, but you know, it happens. So let's say a buyer is doing their inspections and the inspection period has come and gone. It's time for them to release their contingency, meaning in writing, they say, okay, we can no longer back out of this deal because of a bad inspection. So we need them to release that. They're not doing it. And so the first thing that your agent should do is call up the other agent and see what's going on. You know, a lot of the times something might be wrong with the buyer. Maybe they're in the hospital. Maybe, you know, somebody passed away. They got to go fly, you know, to Florida for a funeral. Who knows what the situation is? But the first thing should be a phone call. I know a lot of agents just jump right to the notice to perform, but I think you should do a phone call first, see what's happening. If you're not getting the answers that you're looking for, and you still sense the buyer's kind of dragging their feet, then go ahead, send that notice to perform. Give them 3 days to perform, which is the removing of that contingency. Hopefully they do it. If they don't, you got to send over a cancellation form. I mean, what are we doing? You know, if they're not moving forward with the process, then we got to cancel, right? There's no point on working with a buyer that's dragging their feet, because you know what? They're probably going to drag their feet throughout the whole entire escrow. And let's get rid of them now and find a new buyer who's going to love your home.
Amanda and George ask, they make buying a home on TV look pretty easy. Is that how it is in real life?
Hey, Amanda and George. Yeah, they do make buying a home look pretty easy on TV, don't they? And it's funny because I think buyers have this impression in their minds that it is this easy. I mean, not too long ago, I had a buyer come into my office. They're looking to get a property. And she was saying, yeah, you know, I want to go out and go on a tour of homes. I want to sip champagne while I'm touring these homes. And I was like, well, it's a great thing that you met me, because I'm here to tell you to wake up. That's not how it is in real life. So if I send you a property and it fits your description of what you're looking for, you better go look at it within 24 hours. And if you like that property, you better submit an offer that night. Now, I'm not kidding around, because that's how quickly properties are going now. So the only ones who are sipping champagne are the home sellers, because they're the ones in control. Okay, so you better move fast. If I tell you to move fast on a property, no champagne will be involved at all. That is it for episode number 10 of the Ask Daniel Los Angeles show. Keep giving me your questions. Questions. I love them. I love answering them on this show. So, Daniel@contemporealtors.com. That is my email address. I've probably emailed you before. So, keep asking me those questions and I will keep on answering them.